It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency on food security. It's in response to the rising cost of foodstuff. Special advisor to the president, Dele Alake, announced measures to reverse inflation and ensure future supplies of affordable food. State House correspondent Adesua Omoran reports.
It is no longer news that Nigerians are grappling with high cost of food items. While availability is not an issue, it has become increasingly difficult for many to afford the hiking prices. The president's decision to remove subsidy on fuel has further aggravated an already precarious situation. To reverse the trend, President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency on food security and announced a series of initiatives aimed at ensuring uninterrupted supplies of affordable foods for ordinary Nigerians. Among the key interventions are the immediate release of fertilizers and grains to farmers and households to mitigate the effects of subsidy removal, while the central bank will continue to play a pivotal role in funding the agricultural value chain.
Accordingly, and in line with this administration's position on ensuring that the most vulnerable are supported, the President has declared with immediate effect the following actions. 1. A state of emergency on food security. 2. That all matters pertaining to food and water availability and affordability as essential livelihood items be included within the purview of the National Security Council. As with most emergencies, there are immediate, medium, and long-term interventions and solutions. In the immediate term, this government intends to deploy some savings from the fuel subsidy removal into the agricultural sector, focusing on revamping the agri sector.
The message is that middlemen who have kept all these grains, because we'll be releasing everything we have in stock. So the message is that middlemen and those who are storing these things to create arbitrage and get profit, this is the best time to release it quickly, because once we release those paddy and the maize that the central bank has, your prices will be depressed.
In addition, the government plans to establish a national commodity board that will monitor and regulate food prices, ensuring fair pricing for consumers.
Through this board, government will moderate spikes and dips in food prices. As for storage, existing warehouses and tanks will be revamped to cut waste and ensure efficient preservation of food items. This government says it's going to do away with the old ways of livestock business. So livestock business is holistic, whether herders, grazers, whatever.
Efforts to facilitate trade and increase revenue from food and agricultural exports are also highlighted. The government aims to streamline customs processes and reduce transportation costs, benefiting both producers and consumers. With these interventions, the government hopes to not only address the immediate crisis, but also create employment opportunities in the agricultural sector. However, Nigerians eagerly await to see the implementation of these initiatives, hopeful they will bring more affordable food items for them. From the presidential villa, Adesua Omoran, Arise News.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly has approved the $800 million World Bank loan request for the federal government to deal with the effects of the scrapping of fuel subsidy. It has now emerged that President Bola Tinubu plans to pay 8,000 naira a month to 12 million poor and low-income households for 6 months. Arise correspondent Omo Bazaye reports that Parliament also permitted the president to convert another 500 billion naira from a supplementary budget initially approved for 2022 for the same purpose.
2 months after the 9th National Assembly refused to approve the $800 million World Bank loan for former President Muhammadu Buhari, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu resubmitted the same request to the 10th Senate to cushion the impact of his fuel subsidy removal. Buhari had sent the loan request to the National Assembly with barely 19 days to the end of his administration, but the lawmakers failed to act on it before the end of their legislative tenure in June. According to Tinubu, The disbursement of the loan is to provide safety net for vulnerable Nigerians. And to ensure the transparency of the process, Tinubu, in a letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, on the floor, said digital transfers were made directly to beneficiaries' accounts and mobile wallets.
Approval of the request of Mr. President has been granted by the Senate and will now be communicated to him.
The program, which is expected to stimulate economic activities in the informal sector, improve nutrition, health and education, targets at least 12 million poor Nigerians as beneficiaries. Tinubu, on his inauguration day, announced the removal of fuel subsidy, a burden, he said, government can no longer carry. In the same vein, the president requested the National Assembly to allow him convert another 500 billion naira from the 819 supplementary budget for 2022 to alleviate the effects of subsidy removal policy. The president could not withdraw the money from the service-wide vote and could also not forward a fresh supplementary budget of his own as he was yet to constitute his cabinet.
The palliative component of that particular bill was 500 billion. That is to cushion the impact of the oil subsidy. Because, you know, Mr. President, from what we understood, believed that we can delay gratification for a greater gain tomorrow.
And it is to this extent the President looked into this document and agreed that the supplementary budget of 819 be amended to take care of some of these palliatives. And as such, he went to the document and reordered. And that was where this said 500 billion is coming from.
The sum of 185 billion is to be channeled to the Ministry of Works and Housing to alleviate the impact of severe flooding experienced in the country in 2022. The amendment also sought to allocate 19 billion naira to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to ameliorate massive destruction of farmlands across the country during the severe flooding experienced last year. The breakdown further reveals that 35 billion will go to the National Judicial Council, 10 billion to the Federal Capital Territory Administration for critical projects, while the remaining 70 billion will be given to the National Assembly to support the working conditions of new members. After hours of deliberations, the National Assembly approved all the requests of the President. With these approvals, hopes are high the Nigerians will, in a matter of time, begin to feel the impact. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.
Well, a number of things to chat about this morning, Rufai.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Number one, declaration of state of emergency on food, long overdue. In fact, we ought to have done this a couple of years ago. We have a big food crisis in our country. A part of it is caused by the high amount of post-harvest losses. Another part is caused by the fact that we don't just plant enough because of insecurity. The other day, you saw a story of a lawmaker saying jihadis from Niger are collecting taxes from our farmers, so we can't plant. How do we solve the problem of not storing what we have planted, post-harvest losses? We need to build more silos around the areas, organize farmers into communities, give them fertilizers, but have more silos to be able to store their food. You know why? What happens is most of the time, most of their foods are lost to post-harvest losses. So the middlemen come in and buy their food and keep their food and sell it at a higher price. So if you have more of these silos, you can eliminate more of the middleman effect and be able to get the farmers proper value for their food and also be able to track the price of food. Also, we need to plant enough. We have over 83 million hectares of arable land in this country to plant. We're not optimally utilizing that. We should be the food basket of Africa, but we've not done that. In the 60s, and that's why when I saw the tomato debacle recently, I shorted. In the 60s, Nigeria used to produce about 1/3 of the tomatoes in the West African sub-region. But now we don't have that again. We're not planting enough. We need to be able to shore up production. And like I said before, give them the farmer subventions, loans, and palliative and everything, and fix the problem of insecurity on the farms. and also be able to double effort as regards ensuring that transportation of the food is made necessary. So even the colonialists were very wise enough to be able to build rail tracks across areas that had output. What can we do now? Let us use our rail lines. They should be able to move food from the north to the south, make cost of transportation easier. If possible, all the other narrow gauge lines, we could resuscitate them, use less speed trains to be able to get food across board. The palliative and subvention he's giving, we still need a lot more. 8,000 for 12 million families. What makes up those families in the first place? What makes up those households? For 6 months, how reaching will this effect go? Not too much. Also, we need to be able to tie the things we give around outcomes. I would have wanted us to be able to put more as regards reducing the price of food in the market rather than giving these handouts that you will give for a while and it will go. So what are the outcomes we can tie them around then? I keep referring to Ghana. I keep referring to Brazil, Bolsa Familia, tying them around education outcomes, some people argue, but also look at the terrain in Nigeria. As regards farmers not getting enough irrigation, like I was saying before, build a dam per district. Try as much as possible to bolster agricultural prospects around there. And I saw there that you want to give 70 billion to lawmakers to aid new. No, let's reduce that money. You see, these people have rich enough. They've done well for themselves. Let's cut that money and give it more to the people. Because these people have big convoys and all of that. No, you can't be telling us to tighten our belt and we're hearing 70 billion being given to lawmakers. No, I'm not anti-lawmakers, but it's a desperate time. And in fact, let's even stretch the argument by saying, why can't we cut it to one house rather than having, two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives? No, because you're giving 70 billion to lawmakers to aid in the work of the newcomers. I'm not saying it's not necessary, but let's cut even more.
All right.
Okay. Now, let's look at the specific issues. Number one, I would like to acknowledge that the Tinubu team, they are doing a good work of issuing very good press statements. As an ancestor in the office of presidential spokesman,
wow, you have to go there.
I would like to commend Mr. Dele Alake. They issue very robust statements, very detailed, very good on presidential rhetoric. There are books on the rhetoric of presidential communication. They are doing very well in that regard. It took the Buhari administration until the arrival of Professor Gambari for them to learn how to write presidential statements and speeches. These ones have the experience. So they have hit the ground running in that regard. Okay, so when they issue their statements, I look at them, I say, oh, this is good, this is robust. However, let's go beyond the rhetoric. Let's go beyond presidential rhetoric and look at the issues. Number one issue, Mr. Alake's presentation yesterday was very, full of statements about agriculture. Agriculture, all of us know, is the alternative to oil production, crude oil production. Crude oil production, we were told yesterday, has gone up to about 1.4 billion barrels per day. Okay, fine, good news. But you see the administration also focusing on agriculture. And one of the points made by Mr. Dele Alake in his presentation yesterday is about how this will generate employment and job creation. We all know that. He also talked about commodity boards, the plan to reintroduce commodity boards. Now, commodity boards are meant to add value to farmers, to farmlands. Now, we have tried it before. President Buhari introduced commodity exchanges. He reintroduced commodity exchanges. Let's give people credit where they deserve the credit. President Buhari reintroduced those commodity exchanges. The question now is, why is it that those commodity boards, those commodity exchanges have not worked? We cannot argue with the fact that you want to create more jobs, you want to provide more opportunities, you want to extend the revenue generation system. So these guys, the new guys on the block, they understand that and they are talking about it, but they must move beyond rhetoric. What is the other point that we are being told? That food will be released from grain reserves and that support will be given to farmers. Okay, Mr. Alake also said that in his statement, to give support to farmers. As I said yesterday, you have to ensure security of access to the farmlands. We cited the example of the Borno State governor providing buses, providing trucks. Okay, what is the federal government going to do at the national security end? And they were clever in phrasing the statement. They said, oh, the National Security Advisor's Office will be part of this. Knowing that the major issue about food production is not about releasing food from the grains reserve. It is about ensuring security and the maximization of food production in the country. With due respect, the statement by the presidency also talked about the river basins. We have 11 river basins in this country. Those river basins have not worked. We wait. We would like to see how the Tinubu administration will make sure that the river basins begin to work in terms of maximizing food production, in terms of irrigation, and proper funding for those river basins. Many of these river basins are completely ineffectual, and we suffer on that account. That's why when they say each time they are releasing water from Ogun River Basin Authority, all of us in Lagos will start panicking because that river basin is not working, as is the case with other river basins. The other issue that has been raised is that money will be provided for 12 million households, right? Yes. 18,000 naira per month. 8, no, is it 8,000?
8,000
per month. Okay, what difference? $10. What difference can that make? The conditional cash transfer, President Tinubu in meeting with the class of 1999 governors said, oh, okay, opportunities will be provided for households and the conditional cash transfer will not go haywire, as it did under President Buhari. Let us state that now as a point of fact. Okay, how is he going to make sure that I will get my own 8,000 naira per month, for example? Let's start with that. No, because what they call the social register, does not accommodate enough people. They talk about poor and vulnerable Nigerians. Who identifies those poor and vulnerable Nigerians? And finally, I make the point made by Frank Shaibu, the spokesperson for Atiku Abubakar. What Frank Shaibu is saying simply is the point that, look, this conditional cash transfer should not be an opportunity for people to divert public funds. So President Tinubu has to pay attention to that. But his communications team, they are very good on rhetorics, on writing speeches. I've seen that. They are much better than the Buhari team. But we are not looking for speeches and rhetoric and communications organization. As an ancestor, I can comment on that and take a position on that. But Nigerians are not looking for rhetoric, presidential rhetoric. They are looking for concrete actions, transparency, accountability. And as for the National Assembly, expeditiously approving the request from President Tinubu, what do you expect? These are lawmakers who got there because President Tinubu put them there. In fact, nobody should be surprised. They will approve everything expeditiously. Whether it's $800 million or it's $500 million or it is 500 million naira, these ones are there just to do the work as the president demands.
All right, so we need to move on to the next story, but very quickly, I believe also this announcement that's quite detailed on the plans of the president for the agricultural sector should signal, be a positive signal for investors in that sector and for a number of Nigerians who are looking to move into that sector if these plans are well implemented. It has been detailed in terms of what it would entail and some recommendations given this morning. However, beyond these are is the actual implementation of these plans. And transportation has been talked about with regards to the entire value chain of the agri sector in terms of production and irrigation schemes, so that we stop with it, or we do away with seasonal agriculture or farming, and we have it continuous throughout the year. We looked at ranching, a critical conversation that came up during the last administration, particularly when the farmer-herder clashes began to become a bit more frequent. We talked about that prospect, and hopefully subnationals would work with the national government to ensure that this is materialized. Nigeria ought to have moved to ranching system a long time ago. Many nations around the world who are into cattle rearing have gone into the ranching system, which has been spoken about a number of times in terms of its benefits. So that's great. Then also in terms of the storage, we talked about that. We've analyzed that a number of times on this show, so that we are able to multiply the outcomes of our agricultural produce. We do away with wastages. We've seen pictures of tomatoes being thrown away, eggs being thrown away, nothing to do with them. And this would also shore up exports, which is also something they talked about in that speech yesterday. Beyond self-sustaining in terms of the food that we produce, we can feed our nation. Nigerians can feed Nigerians, and we can actually have enough to export and generate revenue for the nation. And then with regards to the 8,000, yes, a number of people have criticized that amount, saying that it's too small for households, and 12 million, if you're looking at the fact that 133 million Nigerians are in multidimensional poverty. How, number one, is the criteria to judging who will make up that 12 million, the spread of the 12 million, would it be according to zones? And then this is the importance of why we need to have a census, because if we don't have a true picture of the number of people that we have or the households, then how are we able to determine the most vulnerable? But we can stretch it out. We're hoping that beyond the 8,000 naira given to households, that the government also mobilizes economic empowerment, so that people do not remain on that system, because Nigerians want to work. They want to earn. We're not lazy. So beyond the handouts, how do we empower people and build infrastructure for economic empowerment? We'll move on to the next story. And Arise News has emerged the most educative TV station of the year in the Prestige Nigerian Education Award. According to the project director for the Prestige Nigerian Education Award, Adebowale Olowu, he says the organization, which is an education consulting firm that manages education projects and events, holds the annual award categories to recognize and celebrate television stations with professional excellence. He says Arise News was awarded as most educative because they are considered the voice of the people as they broadcast educative and informative content. Adebowale urged them to continue to deliver outstanding reportage to the public.
The media is one of the powerful tools to educate and inform the society. So we look at the TV station, they have the most informative and educative content. So we have media houses nominated, and after voting, and the Arise TV was voted as the most informative and educative TV station for the year 2032. We would like more support for the educational sector, especially we know that the government listens to whatever information, whatever news is coming from Arise, so it gets attention of the government, of the general public. So of course, when they share more light on what is happening within the sector, because we have a lot of issues that need to be addressed in the educational sector, so we want the Arise needs also to shed more light also on them and all that. So if they can do more of that, we will really love that.
Everyday implications. These are award seasons, and congratulations, Arise News. Rufai.
I mean, I'm so excited that people have started to see the great work that we are about here at Arise. And I'm very excited about this award because it talks about Arise being the most educative TV station. And you can truly tell for yourself. We try as much as possible, to push the envelope every single day to make the audience a whole lot better. And after every show you watch on Arise, you become a whole lot better. You become well-educated, well-informed, you become rounded citizens. So thank you guys so much, the organizers of the Prestige Award Nigerian Education Award. Thank you so much for awarding us this. Awards will never dry. And like you said, there are implications.
Yes.
I think concerning the implications, Ms. Ifeni.
Our ancestor.
Yeah, our ancestor, Dr. Abati, Prince Unduka Obaigbana, our chairman, Madam Oji Okpe, and other people should be on the committee of the implications. I've just mentioned some people, so please declare.
Thank you,
Rufai. And today is Prince Unduka Obaigbana's birthday. Hey!
Okay, let me shut down. I think we're about to just go out and
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Prince Unduka Obaigbana, we appreciate you. We love you so much. We thank you for giving us a chance to be part of this your great vision called The Rise, that was started 10 years ago and that has been pushing the envelope of quality broadcasting world all over. Thank you so much. You know, I always remember your birthday because today is 14th of July. That's Bastille Day celebration. That's the Fête Nationale in France. And as they celebrate the Freedom Day, the Bastille Day in France, you're a child of a lot of freedom. And you have freedom of ideas, you have freedom of prospect, and continue to do the great things. So this award is dedicated to you, and congratulations to you on your birthday today. So more implications, Dr. Abati. It's a lot of implications.
Dr. Abati,
touch it.
No, carry it first.
No, touch it, Dr. Abati. Touch it that you talk.
Congratulations to our Rice News. But as I always say around here, the reward for hard work is more hard work. And I always tell people in-house here that people should remember that when these awards keep coming, as they keep coming, is a recognition for the collective effort of all of us in our Rice News. But what we need to do is to continue to sustain it.
Yes.
Once upon a time in this country, the TV station that was praised was AIT with their Kakaki morning program. Now, in the days of Mr. Yinka Craig, God bless his memory, the emphasis moved to Silverbird TV. And Silverbird TV dominated for a long time, just because of their morning show and the presence of Mr. Yinka Craig. Then the train moved from there to channels. Channels dominated...
NTA, AM Express.
Well, NTA is government channel. I'm talking about private enterprise. Okay. Now it moved to channels television, right? Channels television dominated the scene for about 10 years. Yeah. Then TVC came along. TVC began to challenge channels. People moved again. And then Arise News got noticed. Arise News had been there. And then by special alchemy, introduced by the chairman, Nduka Obaigbena, Arise News took the front lead. So we're running a relay race. So the message for every one of us in this station, from board to chairman to staff, is to know that the challenge is more hard work. We appreciate the recognition. We see it as a challenge that we have to continue to work hard. And every member of the team, including those people who are always making noise in my ears from the gallery, know that we are all in this together and you cannot drop the ball. Our basic assignment is to continue to inform the people, educate the people, maintain professional standards, and continue to win awards. Yes. So congratulations, Arise News, and to all the people who have been in and out, exits and entrances, we thank all of you for the contribution you have made. Our job is to continue to educate people, because there are more intelligent people out there. I tell people, on any subject, there are persons who are better informed, better educated on this subject. So you sit here, you don't come here and moonlight. You don't come here and wing it. You have to be prepared. So thank you, viewers. Thank you, everybody, for recognizing the small work that we put in. Our commitment is to work harder.
Excellent. Well, success and excellence takes a lot of diligence, as has been highlighted this morning. However, the main hard work is how to sustain it. So getting to the top is hard enough, but sustaining and being or remaining on the top is where the work really is. Congratulations to Arise News. Thank you for the varied awards that we've gotten in the last few weeks. And congratulations, double congratulations to the chairman, Arise News, and the This Day board, Prince Nduka Obaigbena. Happy birthday, sir. We look forward to coming for the item 7 after the show this morning.